Hello, sixth form. How are you? Today we are reading the last chapter of Billionaire Boy by David Walliams. Chapter 26. A Blizzard of Banknotes. As Rush pedaled hard up the long driveway, Joe was shocked to see that there was already a fleet of lorries parked up by the front door. An army of bulky men in leather jackets were carrying out all of his dad's paintings and chandeliers and diamond-encrusted golf clubs. Raj stopped the bike and Joe leaped out of the basket and ran up the huge stone steps. Sapphire was hurrying out in a pair of impossibly high heels, laden with a huge suitcase of numerous handbags. "Out of my way!" she hissed. "Where's my dad?" demanded Joe. "I don't know and I don't care. The idiot has lost all of his money." As she ran down the steps, the heel of her shoe broke off and she took a tumble. The case crashed on the stone floor and broke open. A blizzard of banknotes swirled into the air. Sapphire began screaming and crying, and as mascara ran down her cheeks, she leaped up, trying desperately to catch them. Joe looked back at her with a mixture of anger and pity. He then raced into the house. It was now completely bare of any belongings. Joe fought past the bailiffs and sprinted up the grand spiral staircase. He passed a couple of burly men making off with hundreds of miles of the Scalectric truck. For a millisecond, Joe felt a pang of regret, but he carried on running and burst through the door to his dad's bedroom. The room was white and bare, almost serene in its emptiness. Hunched on a bare mattress with his back to the door was his dad, wearing only a vest and a pair of boxer shorts, his fat, hairy arms and legs contrasting with his bald head. They had even taken his toupee. "Dad!" shouted Joe. "Joe!" Dad turned around. His face was red and raw from crying. My boy, you came home." "I'm sorry I ran away, Dad. I am so upset I hurt you with all that business with Lauren. I just wanted to make you happy." I know. I forgive you, Dad." Joe sat down next to his father. "I've lost everything. Even Sapphire's gone." "I am not sure she was the one, Dad." "No?" "No," replied Joe as he tried not to shake his head too hard. "No, maybe not," said Dad. "Now we've got no house, no money, no private jet. What are we gonna do, son?" Joe reached into his trouser pocket and pulled out a check. "Dad?" "Yes, my boy?" "The other day I was going through my pockets and I found this." Dad studied it. It was the one he had written his son for his birthday, for £2 million. "I never paid it in," said Joe excitedly. "You can have it back. Then you can buy us somewhere to live and still have loads of money left over." Dad looked up at his son. Joe wasn't sure if his father was happy or sad. "Thank you so much, boy. You're a great lad. You really are. But I am sorry to say this check is worthless." "Worthless?" Joe was shocked. "Why?" "Because I have no money left in my bank account," explained Dad. "There are so many lawsuits against me, the banks have frozen all my accounts. I am bankrupt now. If you had paid it in when I gave it to you, you would still have £2 million. Joe felt a little bit frightened that somehow he had done the wrong thing. "Are you angry with me, Dad?" Dad looked at Joe and smiled. "No, I'm pleased you didn't cash it in. All that money never really made us happy, didn't it?" "No," said Joe. "In fact, it made us sad. And I am sorry too. You brought my homework to school and I shouted at you for embarrassing me. Bob was right. I have behaved like a spoiled brat at times. Dad chuckled. Well, just a little. Joe jumped along closer to his dad. He needed a hug. At that moment, two burly bailiffs entered the room. We've got to take the mattress, announced one. The Spuds offered no resistance and stood up to let the men carry the last item out of the room. Dad leaned over and whispered into his son's ear. If there's anything you want to grab from your room, boy, I'll do it now. I don't need anything, Dad, replied Joe. There must be something. Designer shades, a gold watch, your iPod. They watched as two men carried the mattress out of Mr. Spud's bedroom. It was now completely bare. Joe thought for a moment. There is something, he said. He disappeared out of the room. Mr. Spud moved over to the window. He watched helpless as the leather-jacket man carried out everything he owned. Silver cutlery, crystal vases, antique furniture, everything, and loaded it into the trucks. In a few moments, Joe reappeared. Did you manage to grab anything? Asked Dad eagerly. Just one thing. Joe opened his hand and showed his dad the sad little loo roll rocket. But why? Said Dad. He couldn't believe his son had kept the old thing, let alone chosen it as the one thing he wanted to save from the house. It's the best thing you ever gave me, said Joe. Dad's eyes clouded over with tears. But it's just a loo roll with a bit of another loo roll stuck to it, he spluttered. I know, said Joe, but it was made with love, and it means more to me than all the expensive stuff you bought me. Dad shook with uncontrollable emotion and wrapped his short, fat, hairy arms around his son. Joe put his short, fat, less hairy arms around his dad. He rested his head on his dad's chest. He felt that it was wet with tears. I love you, Dad. Ditto. I love you too, son. Dad, said Joe tentatively. Yes? Do you fancy shepherd's pie for tea? More than anything in the world, said Dad with a smile. Father and son held each other tight. Finally, Joe had everything he could ever need.